Hey guys, I'm cmasupra, and this guy just really wants to pull that trigger on the machine gun. He's looking intently through the sights, he has both of his hands on the triggers, he just really wants to pull the trigger on that machine gun. Let's hope he doesn't, because we're 5 seconds into the game, the Germans are all the way at the other side of the map, they haven't even moved an inch away from their base, they're just all relaxed and a bit goofy looking, just like normal, they always are. You can see these are goofy looking guys. But yeah, let's hope this guy does not pull the trigger because the first person he's going to see is going to be friendlies. And if he shoots friendlies, he's going to have a lot to own up to. And it'll also be a tragedy in this game, which this game is not supposed to have tragedies. So let's go ahead and get started with this game. This is going to be an amazing game. This game is actually going to have an amazing ending. The ending was just so close, and it's not victory point versus victory point. It's not like it was down to 5 victory points versus 5 victory points. Who's going to cap the one victory point that will win them the game? It's not like that. It is something else, but I'm not going to say what it is, and I'm not going to say who ends up winning in the end either. But throughout this game, you will see a lot of multitasking. If you don't know what multitasking is in Company of Heroes and Company of Heroes 2, it is basically like, say I have an engagement going on over in this area, and there's an engagement going on over in this area, and then back at my HQ I have to be reinforcing squads. I have to handle all three of those things at the same time, and that is multitasking. So there will be a lot of that, and in fact there was so much that I couldn't quite keep up, and neither could my opponent to an extent. So there's a ton of multitasking to be seen in this video, but it's not the thing I want to focus on. But if you are interested in seeing that, this is the perfect video for you, because there is just a ton of multitasking. Anyways, I have been rambling on for that a little bit. I forgot to mention that I'm playing as the Russians, my opponent is the Germans, which I did say that already, because I said the Germans were just sitting in their base. And my build order for this game, or this particular match, has been 2 conscript squads, and then obviously the default engineer squad. So I did send my engineer squad over to the left side to capture points. I sent my first conscript squad over to the right side to capture points. And my second conscript squad, or my third squad in total, is sent to the middle. So I have one to the left, one to the right, and one to the middle. And I never build engineers first from the HQ, unless I just want to do some strategy that involves tier 1 or tier 2 early game. Because conscripts are the same price and they will be more effective, far more effective, at fighting enemy units that they come across, such as this Pioneer Squad, or this Pioneer Squad, or where's my enemies? There we go, his MG, his first unit out of the building, out of his tier 1 building, because the Germans do not get anything except Pioneers out of tier 0. So as you can see, he went into the building, and I actually did not know for sure. I figured he was going there, so I went to the left side of the point, and then let's turn Fog of War on here. I was checking to make sure that he actually went into the building, and then I went back to the left side of the point, and that is really smart. I didn't give him time to shoot at me, but I had enough time to see, is he in that building for sure, and it turns out he is. So I do know where his MG is, and that is terrible news for him. Does he know that I know? I don't know if he knows that I know. It depends on how closely he was watching this point right here, because I moved in there just for a quick second. So he'd have to be watching it pretty closely to know that I know that he is there. So here we have an engagement between conscripts and grenadiers are going to possibly win and possibly lose one-on-one versus conscripts. It all depends on how the player's micro goes. Grenadiers are better at long range, conscripts better at short range, and I even oorah'd away from that fight. If you don't know what oorah does, I don't know why I'm making this such a noob cast, I'm explaining everything. But if you don't know what oorah does, it makes you move faster for 10 seconds at the cost of 5 munitions, and it is very, very cheap, and you can pretty much just spam it. I don't recommend just spamming it for the heck of it, but spam it when it makes sense to. In this case, I oorah'd to get away from the grenadiers and over to these pioneers, because the pioneers will definitely lose against conscripts, and I wanted to prevent him from taking this point. I even move in just barely into the point so I can stop him from capturing the point. That was just perfect. Up here in the north we have a grenadier squad. Is that the second one? That is a second grenadier squad from my opponent versus flamer engineers. Who is going to win? It's really quite the toss-up, because flamers do not work the way they did in Company of Heroes 1. Instead they act like they basically just have an overall higher damage output. So it's a question of who's going to win. My combat engineer squad versus this grenadier squad, or my combat engineer squad versus this grenadier squad, or my combat engineer squad versus both of them, which I'm trying to avoid. I'm going for the weaker squad over here. You can see I'm doing my best to attack him, but then my opponent comes in close over here with this other grenadier squad, and I tell my pioneers to get in yellow cover on that side of the fence so that you have cover against these grenadiers, and flame them instead and possibly win. And then there's an MG over there setting up, so you know what I have to do? I'm going to have to hit that T key really soon if you're using Company of Heroes 1 keys, or I don't know, what would it even be? Q, W, E, R? I guess that'd be the R key to retreat? I don't know, if you're using grid keys. So I would say overall I did win that engagement, and my opponent lost more manpower than I did overall in that, I think. I also captured some territory right out from under his nose, cutting him off from this victory point, which doesn't give any resources, and this one strategic point, which gives 3 fuel and 5 munitions, just like all of them do. While all that was happening, though, my first conscript squad that I built is over here, and it has been capturing these points all that while. Sadly, this pioneer squad did decap this point, which is cutting me off from the whole right side of the map, but oh well. I'm still capturing points over here, and I'm about to go kill this thing once I spot it, since it's capturing my point. I can definitely see it. Now, in the HQ, I have built a field infirmary, which allows me to heal my units, and then also tier 2, not tier 1. I know a lot of people like to build tier 1, but I have instead built tier 2, giving me a MG and a mortar, and the very first thing I built out of it was the mortar. And the reason I wanted the mortar is because mortars are overpowered in this game, and because I figured I needed something against my opponent's MGs. Like, I knew there was an MG here. Surprisingly, it has stayed there, which is a mistake by my opponent. You should never keep an MG in one place too long. There's a chance your opponent knows it's there, even if you don't know that your opponent knows it's there. So you should always just move it every once in a while. He has not, so that's a mistake by my opponent. I assume it's still there as I'm playing, because I can't see it right now. Well, now I can, because you can see I was checking with my conscript squad. Say, is that MG still there? Turns out it is, and this one guy is going to get mowed down if I don't back up, which I am about to do. There we go. They're backing up, and I'm mortaring the MG. I just lost a whole conscript squad over here to 2 combat engineers, one with flamethrowers, or 1 flamethrower, and a grenadier squad. I did not even notice there was an engagement going on, and possibly even an MG42 that may have been in the engagement. It has 0 kills, but it may have been in the engagement and done damage, who knows. So my opponent wants to attack the mortar, obviously, because mortar is bad news, no matter which faction you are, if your mortar is being used against you. So you always want to go head on, attack it, and try to root it out. But unluckily for him, my mortars have 6 men. And that means that these other 5 men, no, other 4 men? Yeah, other 4, because it only takes 2 to operate the mortar. So the other 4 men, plus my conscript squad, are going to be shooting at his grenadier squad, and he would not be able to decrew that mortar. And then I also bring up a Maxim MG, these very underrated MGs. These things are really good, because their load up and, load up time? What's the load up time? Their pickup and deploy times are really short, and it's also relatively fast moving. So you can just move to a point and quickly set it up, and it can cover that area, just like an MG42 can, but it has a longer setup time. But the advantage of a Maxim is you can quickly switch directions. You can also use it as a conscript squad, one of these squads, with an MG instead of a rifle for its 6th man. It can be used really effectively if you use it like that. That was a nice grenade on my mortar, so I end up retreating because I don't want to lose the mortar, obviously. And there we go, and I ended up losing that fight overall, even retreated my conscript squad. Yeah, I didn't have much of a chance against him. However, I did take this building down, and I believe I destroyed his MG with that, so never keep your MG in one place too long. I knew it was there. I was mortaring it. Houses do not have the health they had in Company of Heroes 1, in case you did not know that. It's much easier to destroy a house in this game than it is in Company of Heroes 1. Now here's a bit of an issue with the Maxim. If you get flanked like this, or you have to keep uh, unsetting up and deploying, uh, you, you're going to get flanked really easily, and so you need support. The 5 men who are not gunning on it when it has all 6 men in the squad are not going to be as effective as conscript infantry, so you have to try and use the MG as much as possible. In this case, I am so screwed because of all the flanking my opponent's doing, and the fact that the Maxim does not have the suppression power of an MG42. I managed to barely get out of there. Will it survive? It will survive. Luckily, my combat engineer squad saved the day. Over here on the left side, I hear a grenade is incoming. It is coming straight into the house and made a very large hole. Yeah. So, I have my engineer squad capturing points over here, and obviously my opponent retaliated, and he retaliated with 2 LMG-42 Grenadier squads, so you give them both an LMG-42. That's pretty expensive. Healing, and I have also apparently... No, I haven't bought that. I bought anti-tank grenades, so I'm expecting vehicles sometime soon, because obviously it's been a little while since the game started. It's 10 and a half minutes in, so there's a possibility of vehicles showing up sometime soon, and AT grenades are a good way to give yourself time to get an AT gun or a tank of your own if an enemy tank shows up semi-unexpectedly, because obviously you have bought anti-tank grenades, you're kind of expecting vehicles, but you're also kind of not. You don't want to go full out on AT with an AT gun or another tank of your own. In my case, I'm actually buying them just to wait for either the T-70, that's not a T-70, yeah, that is a T-70, T-70 or T-76. T-34-76, I meant. I was like, yeah, they're both 70s, but that makes no sense. No, I'm waiting for either the T-70 or the T-34. I cannot remember which one I bought first. I cannot remember, but I'm going to buy one of the two, because even the T-70, even though I know a lot of people don't like it, it's really good against infantry, like extremely good. And then obviously German light armor, such as an armored car or a half-track, is not going to stand up a chance against a T-70, so T-70 is good for those purposes, but if you want anti-tank tank, you need a T-34 minimum, if not something better. So here we see the first German armor of the game, and this is an issue for me. I mean, I luckily bought anti-tank grenades, but the only conscript squad I still have alive is over here capturing a point, and they're the only things that will protect me from this Stug. However, I do have an AT gun on the field. I was preparing a little more than AT grenades because I was expecting armor. So we have AT grenades and an AT gun. The AT gun will easily keep a Stug at bay because the Stug will die in 3 hits, I believe it is. So it's very easy to kill armor in this game. He does not want to go head on against an AT gun. I happen to see him coming over here, so I'm going to rotate my AT gun very soon here. If I am smart. There we go. The sad thing is, though, as you can see like this, they can't see the Stug. There's a bit of foliage in the way. That really sucked. So I have to move them and get them to fire at the front of the Stug because I don't want to go to the left here and end up getting shot at by potential enemy infantry because I will lose my AT gun. So instead I have to go to the right where I know it's safe and face the Stug, and by the time it's done that, the Stug has moved. That is the downside to AT guns, and I gotta say, I just suck using AT guns. I sucked in Company of Heroes 1 at using them, which is why I always, as the Americans, I always tried to end the game as quickly as possible so I didn't have to deal with armor and AT guns, because I sucked using AT guns. I suck in Company of Heroes 2 as well. I just suck using AT guns. And this was a perfect example of how badly I suck at using AT guns. So here we have a T-70 out on the field. That is the first tank I have chosen to build. I chose not to build the T-34, even though I have seen my opponent's Stug. I chose not to build the T-34 because my opponent mainly has infantry, and I just had a thought and lost it. What was the other reason? Oh yeah, speed, so I can get away from enemy armor. That was the other reason, because the T-70 is quite speedy for a tank, and it'll be good for dealing with the infantry my opponent is using. Good at dealing with all infantry, but also the fact that my opponent is spreading out his infantry across the whole map means that a fast-acting T-70 would be better than a slower T-34. So I went for the T-70, then I'm also hoping that my conscript squad can kind of help against tanks using their AT grenades. Now here you can see my opponent has placed an MG in this house, and he really liked this house this game, as you will see later on, but he has placed an MG in that house, which is terrible news for me. So I had to retreat. This is when I discovered the MG there, so I had managed to decap the fuel point, but he is not able to recap it unless he gets out of this house and puts his MG over here on the point, but he's not doing that yet. Smoke! Smoke! You know what that smoke is from? I don't actually know what that's from. I forgot. What is that from? It might be his mortar. Does he have a mortar? He does not have a mortar. Where did that smoke come from? I forgot. I knew before I started this commentary, but then I seem to have forgotten. Is it from this? It is from this smoke barrage from the artillery field officer. I have actually never bought these, but my opponent used them, and used them pretty well. So I will have to take a closer look at those, but I've never actually used them, so I don't know anything about them, except they're nothing like the officer you got in Company of Heroes 1, because this is a full squad. Squad of 4 men, one of which is not wearing camo. It's like, hey, you 3 can hide, we want you to survive. Captain, we want you to be very, very obvious, make you the prime target, because we don't want you to have camo. So, yeah. 3 of them have camo, the officer itself does not, but oh well. So here comes my T-70, it's gonna save the day against these field officers, artillery field officers. Sadly, it's not gonna save the day against a Panther IV, and that's why I actually stopped my T-70. I told him to just go back over here because you're not gonna win against a Panther IV. So that was the end of that battle. I ended up losing that. And yay for Maxim MGs. Now, if you look on the minimap, you will see a red plane flying around, and that is my opponent's, it's his Recon overflight, but for the Germans, whatever it's called. It basically allows him to see the area that he's circling, and he can see all my units, and it gives him a huge advantage for not a very high cost. It is cost of munitions, but it's not too high. I don't think. I don't know what it is. Let's find out. Together. 80. Yeah, that's not too bad considering how much of an advantage it does give you in campy games like this one. This one has been rather campy so far. This T-70 is almost dead. I am so lucky the Panther IV did not push up, but at the same time, he didn't push up because this AT gun was here, so it was also kind of smart of me to put the AT gun here and protect my T-70. And you will notice I have 2 AT guns, and that is because my opponent is bringing out a lot of armor. He has a Panther IV, and a Stug, and I suck at using AT guns, so I figured I should have more than one, just in case my opponent brings out a lot of armor. Because he's obviously going for a decent amount of armor himself. Now here you can see my second tank that I have built, my first T-34 in this game, and that is because I figured I need something to deal with the Panther IVs. I'm not good enough with AT guns to deal with them, the Panther IV and the Stug. So in a T-34 it was... Now, as you can see, the Grenadiers Panzerfaust in my T-34, and my T-34 is not firing at the Grenadiers like I need him to. And this is because I was busy doing something else. I couldn't multitask. I couldn't handle the multitasking. What I was doing was flanking this MG over here. I made him target my conscript squad, which is currently retreating because they were almost dead. And then I had my flamer engineer squad come in and roast these guys in the house. Sadly, though, I'm pretty sure I lost the manpower war here because I lost 5 out of 6 men on my conscript squad, and my opponent has lost 2 men on his MG squad, which is not too bad. And are they going to get out of there, or am I going to kill them? Ooh, they're getting out of there. And now here I'm going to have to retreat because he's trying to squish me, and it's not going to end well for me. And there we go, retreated, because he's trying to squish me with the Stug. So now looking at the mini-map, you can see that all of my forces are in the middle here. I was just doing a really good job protecting this victory point right here. But my opponent has the left side victory point and the right side, and it's like I'm just driving a wedge into his front line right in the middle of it, and that's all I'm doing. So in a way I'm losing this fight, but at the same time I am not losing the fight because I have more forces than he does. I have overall been winning the fights. I just don't have the map control to prove it, I guess you could say. So I'm in a bit of a tough situation, kind of winning, kind of not. It's not as bad of a situation as you could possibly be in. There are many much worse situations you can be in than the one I'm in, but it's not a good situation. If you look over here, is that it? Yeah, there it is. There's a Stug. Couldn't find it. So if you look over here, the enemy Stug is over here, and I knew he had armor over on the right side somewhere. So I took my AT gun, one of my two AT guns, and just repositioned it here so that if my opponent tried to flank me from behind, it would be ready to deal with him. Then I'm also sending an engineer squad and conscript squad over to deal with his infantry. And as you can see, I even used an incendiary barrage on him to prevent him from capturing it and at least kill his squad. Sadly it didn't work, because obviously he left and he only lost one man, so that was kind of a waste of munitions. Hello, Panther 4, you have a damaged engine. What do they call it? Engine damage. Yeah, damaged engine. And my MG is not going to do anything to you, but at least gives me time to capture this point right here. Then my MG can still be set up right here, protecting this area from infantry, because keeping this fuel point right here would be nice. Then I'm capturing, whoa, my mouse. I'm capturing this point over here, a victory point, so I can have 2 victory points and start whittling down my opponent's victory points. So now here you can see a bit of an issue. This is where a lot of micro is required, as well as a lot of multitasking. So in the middle we have an intense firefight going on with the Panther 4, a Stug, some German infantry, a German MG, and an officer, as well as my AT guns, which I suck at using and I have to keep my T-34 alive and all that. And at the same time, I had a fight going on over here, where I was fighting my opponent's engineer squad, or not engineer squad, pioneer squad, who is apparently playing alive even though he's dead. He's pretending to be alive. I don't know what was up with that. He's pretending to be alive as he's dead. Totally possible. So I have 2 things going on at once, and I was also trying to capture this point, which I had to deal with, but I ended up neglecting this. I really could have moved up and captured this point over here, but I didn't because I was busy dealing with all the micro going on in the middle to keep my T-34 alive, use my AT guns effectively, all that stuff. So this is where multitasking starts getting really tough for me. My opponent definitely outdid me in terms of multitasking here. Definitely outdid me. I lost so many units in this one battle. I lost a T-70, I lost a T-34, I lost some men on my AT gun, which isn't too bad. I lost some men on my mortar, which isn't too bad. I may have lost an MG. My opponent apparently lost a grenadier squad. They dropped an LMG-42. Is that a Maxim? Yeah, that's a Maxim. So I did lose an LMG as well. I took quite a few losses in this battle in the middle, but my opponent did not take nearly as many. He lost some men, but no full squads like I did, and no tanks. I think he kept all of his tanks alive. So well done by my opponent. He definitely out-microed me and out-multitasked me there. So he did really well in that battle. However, I am capturing the rightmost victory point, and I was still able to hold the middle victory point. And so I still will have, in a second, I will have 2 victory points, which means my opponent's victory points will be counting down and not mine. So this is still good for me. Even if I did overall lose that battle, I maintained the map control. And that's something my opponent did a bad job with in this game. It's just getting his map control. I mean, he obviously won that battle, and he will win some future battles, as well as me winning some future battles. But he failed to getting map control, and I just held on to my map control. Not gonna say who won. I'm trying to keep that out of being voiced. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying not to say who wins this game. I'm saying the mistakes my opponent made, mistakes I made, good things my opponent did, good things I did, all that kind of stuff. Here my MG was guaranteed to die against that Panther 4, so obviously I decided to retreat it. Look at this icon. Apparently you can ram with your T-34 just by right-clicking. I don't think that's quite true. No, it's not ramming. Does that mean it has to move to attack? I think it means attack and move, or attack move. I don't know what that icon means as I'm mousing over these guys with the T-34. So if you guys want to tell me what that icon means, let me know. I don't know what it means though. And it just disappeared. I don't know why it disappeared. I really have no idea why it happened. Maybe it's when the T-34 is moving that it shows that icon. I don't know. But here we have my T-34. This is the second T-34 I built this game, and my first one died as well as my T-70, so I'm being really careful to keep this one alive. I'm kiting his grenadiers, keeping me out of his range, but within my range. So I can shoot at him, but he cannot shoot Panzerfausts at me, and thus letting me kill most of the men in his squad, if not the entire squad. Kill it! Oh, you hit, but didn't do enough damage because of the retreating modifier. And then here's another Grenadier squad, so I'm just like, okay, let's back up a little bit. Stay at max range so he can't Panzerfaust me. Kite his Grenadiers. Yeah, you run away like that. Ooh, he just got LMG 42s. One of them anyways. Wow, my right arm hurts. Wow, I have just been holding it up on the mouse and I just let go and oh my god, it started hurting. That was totally off topic. So in the middle here, we can see that I'm trying to capture back the middle victory point. He did decap it because of all the units I lost in the middle. He was able to capture it, but I am telling his MG that MG needs to retreat immediately or he's going to lose it. He needs to retreat it immediately or he's going to lose it. He's not listening to me because obviously this is a post-commentary. He can't listen to me. There he goes. He retreated it. Does it get out alive? It looks like it will. Sure does. Here's my T-34, sitting here doing nothing, and that is because I'm busy microing. I have to deal with my opponent capturing a point over here. I have to deal with reinforcing all these squads, and at the same time I have to think, how am I going to recapture this middle point? And while all that's going on, I'm also reinforcing from a half-track over here in the middle of the map, and the reason I even bought the half-track was to reinforce this one AT gun. The other AT gun, I brought it back to the base, I think. Where'd it go? Well, I know I brought it back to the base. Oh, I have 3 now. Ooh, I'm really bad with AT guns, so I figured, well, I need something against his tanks. I'm going to go with more AT guns, just more and more. So I have 3 now. But I do know that after that one big battle in the middle, I did bring one of the AT guns back to reinforce it, and I guess I brought it back to the middle already. And the other AT gun, I had it reinforced from my half-track. Now I did turn my half-track into a quad anti-air, quad 50 cal anti-air half-track, and watch what it does against the German spy planes. Wow, it takes them out in no time. It is so much easier to kill planes in Company of Heroes 2 than it is in Company of Heroes 1. I was not used to that. This is the first time I've ever bought the quad 50 on this half-track. So I was surprised, like, wow, it kills planes so quickly. So I was just like, yeah, I'm buying this every game if my opponent's going to use a Recon, and I have the munitions to afford it. Definitely getting that every game if I can. So yeah, it's just amazing against enemy airplanes. Here you can see my opponent is successfully moving in on my AT gun. He has decrewed the thing. I did manage to get an AT grenade on this Panther 4, so it has a damage engine, but oh my god, he's shooting at my half-track. I need to save it, that thing's expensive. I already spent 90 munitions on the anti-air package. Not too bad, but pretty expensive still. Definitely worth the cost though, just like the German Recon package thingy, and the German, and the Russian one I meant. So they're both 80, wow. But yeah, want to save the half-track, so I brought one of my AT guns up forward to protect the half-track as it moves away under the protection of a T-34. So this is heavily micro-intensive, moving all these vehicles, kiting my opponent's infantry, dealing with all of this. I do decide to put an incendiary barrage on the middle so I don't have to deal with it too much to get my opponent to get off of me there while I handle this going on and over here, as well as capturing points over here and over here on the left and right sides. So trying my best to keep my opponent off my back, reduce the number of things they have to deal with at one time, because I'm definitely getting out multitasked by my opponent. He has better micro, he's better at multitasking. I'm losing these big battles, but I'm maintaining map control. And so that's kind of what I'm focusing on, is just getting more map control than he is. Because if he has manpower but he doesn't have munitions or fuel, he's not going to be able to tech and use abilities like I'm going to be able to. Because even if I lose the battles, I'll be low on manpower. And granted, manpower is what wins battles. If I'm going to lose the manpower war regardless, though, I should at least focus on getting as many munitions and as many fuel, or as much fuel, as I possibly can. Because if I'm guaranteed to lose manpower, I might as well do my best to keep the other two resources flowing in and prevent my opponent from getting those resources. So as you can see, I once again lost that battle. T-34 survived this time, so that's good. However, I am losing an AT gun. The first one he decrewed right over here, or somewhere here. He's taken it with the... What squad is that? That looks like it might even be the artillery field officer crew that manned it. I don't really know. It may be, but he's taking it, and I'm chasing him for it. I really want that thing. It's my AT gun. I don't want you to have an AT gun of mine against my own tanks. It'll do a ton of damage. At least I was assuming that at the time, because I had never actually had an AT gun stolen from me in Company of Heroes 2. But in Company of Heroes 1, I know that if you had an AT gun stolen from you, it would do a lot of damage to your own tanks. So you never wanted to have one stolen from you. And I thought that was the same in this game, so I'm coming over here to take it, but then I'm down to 3 men. It's just like, no, I can't. I'm not going to man it. I don't want it that badly. I'm not going to lose a conscript squad to save an AT gun. You can have the AT gun. I'll just focus a little more on infantry. Fine. That was my thinking. So, ended up retreating. I did kill off his crew that was manning the AT gun. Not sure if he was able to reman the crew or if that was the whole squad he remanned it with. I don't know. I don't see the artillery field officers anywhere. So I think he remanned it with the whole artillery field officer crew, which means he made a loss out of that. So good for me. I'm glad he made a loss out of that. So here you can see I am taking this field point, and it's not actually going to cut my opponent off from the strategic point down here, because victory points count as territory in this game. And it's a bit weird, but they do count as territory, so capturing victory points is now more worth doing in order to cut off your opponent, which is really why I was capturing this particular one, which is to cut him off from that one strategic point. I mean, there's also the added benefit that I would have 2 VPs and he'd have 1, but that was not the main reason I was going for it. I just wanted to cut him off, really. So now he's cut off from that one strategic point at the bottom left of the map. In the middle here, we have a huge engagement between my opponent's MG, his Grenadier squad, and his mortar, and my mortar, my AT gun, not really yet, but almost there, and my T-34 and a conscript squad. So it was a bit of an engagement. Overall, I ended up winning in the middle. And I'm capturing the VP, and I'm actually shelling for 60 munitions. That's how much this ability costs. Well, now I can't show you. Let's show you here. 60 munitions for a light artillery barrage from the ZIS AT gun that the Russians get. Now shelling his MG and his mortar over here. Sadly, his Panzerwerfer decrewed the AT gun, and as a result, I wasn't able to finish the barrage and end up killing the mortar squad. Instead, it only forced the MG squad to retreat over here with 1 man. My mortar is vet 2, but it's sitting in red cover. What was wrong with me? I was too busy doing other things. That's what was wrong with me. Busy reinforcing back to the HQ. I also forgot about these guys, interestingly enough. There we go. Plant some mines. I told them plant a lot of mines over here on the right side, and that was just because I didn't want my opponent to be able to flank me from the right side. I wanted to focus on the middle and possibly the left victory point, but not really. I wanted the middle over here and the right victory point. And this spot right here, this area, is really heavy in traffic if he wants to come attack me on the right victory point, or if he wants to come and get behind me over here in the middle victory point area. So it was a good idea to place mines there. Not play mines, place mines. So, yeah. In the middle here, we can see that my opponent is losing his Pioneer squad. Wow, that was a lucky shot by the T-34. But yeah, he just lost the entire Pioneer squad, so that is great news for me, obviously. I apparently lost a Maxim MG here. And nobody has a middle victory point. Over on the right side, my opponent is dealing with one of my Maxims that I placed up here. I forced his Grenadier squad to retreat, and then I knew this squad was coming, but I was too busy doing other things. My opponent is out multitasking me, so I wasn't able to turn this MG in time for it to actually shoot at this Grenadier squad and suppress it. So sadly, they're getting outflanked constantly, but it does mean that my opponent has to keep microing his Grenadiers just back and forth, all the while a battle is going on in the middle. It doesn't look like it is, but there is a battle going on. It's his Panther who's firing on me. Yeah, that combat engineer squad needs to be healed up or reinforced, and it is being reinforced from the half track. Good job on me. Over here, it appears that my MG is retreating, because obviously it was getting outflanked, and my opponent's capturing that point now. So that's not good. He's pushing up on the right side, and that's where most of my forces are not, because I actually have none of my forces over here. I have 3 conscript squads over here. So here's where I was kind of resorting to the classic Russian strategy of conscript spam plus T-34 spam. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 conscript squads and 2 T-34s. And where are these T-34s actually? Okay, so I have one on the left side of the middle, along with a mortar that I have not set up. And I have one in the middle of the map. And it has support from 2 AT guns. And I'm mainly focusing on the middle of the map here, because if I can focus on the middle of the map and at least hold the right victory point, I'll be set to go. I'll end up winning this game and it'll all be great and dandy. But this is kind of a stalemate in the middle, and I do want to know what my opponent has, so you know what I called in. I called in a Recon overflight. And his MG on top of his Panther 4 is actually shooting at the thing, as well as the MG up here. That's a new function in Company of Heroes 2. They did not do that in Company of Heroes 1. Their MGs on top of tanks will shoot at aircraft, just like they did in real life, I believe. I know that they could. I don't know if they did, but I know that they could. So yeah, he's shooting at my airplane, but unluckily for him, it's not working out too well since he only has MG42s and my 50 cals are so much better. Oh my god, that half track needs to get out of there. Yeah, get it out of there. There goes the German plane, took no time at all. Wow. This thing is so much better than the MGs on top of tanks for killing planes. So I did get a view over here, and I figured out that he has a Panzerwerfer over here in this area. And that was my real area of interest when I figured that out. So I kind of wanted to kill it, and I knew it was kind of unsupported here. It has an AT gun, it has an MG, but it's not too well supported. Compared to the middle here, where there's tanks, which will own anything I bring over here. So I kind of wanted to take out the Panzerwerfer. I mean, it's not too strong, but against my camping positions, it's quite strong, because he knows where I am. He does a Recon overflight, then he barrages it. He'll be able to kill a lot of things, because he has line of sight. He can see where everything is. He knows where to barrage, and also if you have line of sight, it makes the barrage tighter, so it does more damage in a smaller area. Let me have a drink here. Okay, I am back. Had to mute my mic for that drink because it was a little more than a drink. So, as you can see, my opponent is mortaring me. And this is not good. I just lost an AT gun, as well as possibly an MG. I believe that MG was already there, but I lost an AT gun. My middle defense is basically non-existent now, and I'm remanning the AT gun, and I have a T-34 over here to deal with this Panther, but the T-34 is not gonna really deal with the Panther. That's what I need the AT gun for. Luckily, I was able to get side armor hits on this Panther. Panthers are really good with their front armor, not so much with their side or rear armor. It's not very strong, just like it was in real life. They were mainly about their front armor, which they were my favorite tank in World War II. Panthers are, always have been, always will be for the foreseeable future, because the foreseeable future is how far I can see, so it'll obviously always be that in the foreseeable future, but it's my favorite tank. So I know quite a bit about them, but they were all about their front armor, so the T-34 wasn't able to do much because its front armor, or the Panther's front armor, was facing the T-34. But the AT gun had side hits and did a lot of damage to the Panther. You can see it's at less than half health, and it's been getting repaired for a little while. And wow, look at that hit. So here we can see my opponent does have artillery on the field. It is not off-map artillery. This is off-map artillery. This is a light artillery barrage. But my opponent has on-map artillery as well. And it is just ruining my forces in the middle. So what he did was he did a Recon overflight to see all of my units in the middle. And then he barraged with 2 artillery units, or really 1 artillery unit, 1 off-map artillery, onto all my units and did quite a bit of damage. Had to take my half-track backwards, to where it couldn't really shoot at the plane effectively. And then it also pushed back my AT guns, killed an AT gun entirely over here, right here where my mouse is. So he's doing quite a lot of damage to me in the middle, but he's just not taking the point. He's winning all the battles, generally speaking, but he's not taking map control. So that's the issue he's having in this game so far. If you even look at the minimaps at the top of the map, I have all 3 victory points because I'm getting map control. Granted, he is heavily attacking me on this 1 victory point with 3 Grenadier squads against 1 conscript squad. That's a bit inefficient, dude. You don't need that many against a Vet 1 conscript squad. You could have sent 1 squad here and done just fine. But he sends 3 because he obviously wants a victory point. He knows map control is important, he's just failing at getting it. And that is his downfall so far in this game. So, if we turn on Fog of War right here, you know I cannot see that Panther 4, it is just out of range, but then I move up and I see the Panther 4. So it's just like, okay, I guess I gotta deal with the Panther 4 using the conscript squad here. So you know what? I think I'm gonna throw an AT grenade on it just to do some damage, because it's always worth doing that, just to get a little bit of veterancy. And then I'm gonna get away from here and go do whatever I want to do, whatever else I want to do. But then these guys show up and I just have to retreat, or die. I didn't get to retreat in time. Over here you can see I have called in a KV-8. This is a flamethrower tank. It has a main gun as well as a flamethrower, but you can only switch between one or the other at a time. As you can see, this button right here switches to the 45mm main gun. Even if you click it again, it switches to the flamethrower main gun. And so right now I have the flamethrower, and I figured it was a good investment to get this tank. It's one of the abilities I get with my doctrine, whatever doctrine I chose, I have no idea. But I get a KV-8 with it, and I figured it'd be a good investment because my opponent has so much infantry, and I just really want to push up on my opponent and kill as much infantry as I can, not he can. And the KV-8 has a lot of armor. I mean, I'm getting side shots from my own AT gun here, and it's doing almost nothing. I mean, that one did penetrate, but it was doing almost nothing earlier, because as you can see, the KV-8 has quite a lot of health, even though it was being shot at so long. So yeah, I think it was a good investment. However, with a single Panzerfaust, he gave me heavy engine damage. That was just really unlucky for me, because it means my KV-8 slowed to a crawl. I actually was not scared of Panzerfaust when I had this over here, because I thought they only could do engine damage, which makes it a bit slower, but not too bad. But he managed to do heavy engine damage, which has screwed me over here. I'm turtling. I'm as slow as a turtle tank, which is a tank the British have in World War II, in real life, not in this game. So here we have a Panther over on the right side. He forced my MG to retreat. I figured it wasn't worth getting shot at by a Panther, even if the Panther does suck against infantry. And as you can see, I'm bringing over an AT gun. And I'm bringing the AT gun because I thought the Panther was coming over here. I even brought 3 conscript squads to AT grenade the Panther. But he's not bringing it there. He's bringing it here, all the way behind my base. So this is not good. I have to bring my AT gun all the way over here. And this is a mistake I made. Let's ignore what else is going on in the map. There's tons of artillery going on over here in the middle. I'm losing units left and right, but we're going to ignore that. Look at this mistake. I'm so busy in the middle of the map that I don't even realize the Panther has gone past my AT gun, and my AT gun is now facing the wrong way. So this is not good for me. It took me a little while to realize they were not facing the right way. And his Panther is able to easily circle strafe my AT gun because he's paying attention. He knows when to circle around another direction. He's able to multitask while I am not able to. He's out multitasking me. I am losing the battle once again. I mean, here I'm losing the AT gun battle. He has used some ability to make his Panther faster to get out of there, because apparently he thought he was going to lose against an AT gun in a T-34, even though he's not. I mean, he'd honestly win against me without any issues, but he got out of there, which I am glad he did. And I managed to escape with only damaged buildings, no buildings lost. But then I sent my T-34 over here to... I actually sent it right here because I was too scared to move too far forward. I wanted to micro it, but I couldn't have time to micro it and chase the Panther because I was busy dealing with all of this stuff going on in the middle and over here with an AT gun shooting at pioneers. Wow. Here you can see this Panther 4, not Panther 4, Panzer 4, Panzer 4 is destroying my conscript squads. I even lost a full squad there. Those were 3 full health squads, and now they are highly damaged, so I once again lost this battle as well. My opponent is out multitasking me, and yet I'm still winning. Look at his VPs. He has 74 VPs. This is kind of a turning point. He's pushed me off so far from the middle, which is my main hold, that I am losing a lot of stuff here. And he's definitely winning the battle. I mean, he does have 69 victory points. I have both of the points, or not both of the points, 2 of the 3 points on the map, so I'm taking down his VPs, slowly but surely. But he's definitely doing a huge push here. He's pushed me all the way back to my base, practically. You know, my base is right here, and I'm right here. I'm not very far away from my base. So he's done a good job pushing me away from the middle VP, because it's all the way over here. So I'm closer to my base than I am to the middle VP. This is not good for me. I just lost my mortar. There's 2 Panthers over here. My AT guns are not going to be able to deal with that. I'm hoping to just be able to kill the Panzer 4, because Panthers suck against infantry, and an AT gun counts as infantry. So they're not hitting the AT gun very often. So I'm hoping to kill the Panzer 4, and I do it. They get vet 2. I'm repairing the AT gun in hopes of keeping it alive. Sadly, it didn't work because the infantry had too little health. So now these engineers are stuck repairing something that will probably be given to the enemy. So I tell them to stop, don't bother. And I managed to somehow flank him and get to the middle VP, because right now I know I'm losing badly, because my opponent has successfully pushed me very far back into my base. He's doing a lot of damage with artillery. He has 2 Panthers here. This is not going well for me. So I managed to cap the middle VP. Over on the left one, my opponent has a bit of defense, not much. It's 1 Grenadier squad at vet 1. Over on the right side, I have nothing defending the right VP. I do have an MG over here, but I didn't have time to move it over to the VP, because everything was just going on over here in the middle. There's way too much going on. I'm losing this so badly now. I do still have 2 VPs though. I have map control. That is what is important and will win me this game if I do end up winning. I still am not going to say whether or not I end up winning this game. So I have the 2 VPs, down to 48 VPs. This is really close. But while all this is happening, he is destroying my base with artillery. I mean, there's my tier 3 building that builds tier T-34s. And here's my HQ. Neither one has very much health left over. And my opponent has so much artillery out on the field. I even meant to show you guys something, but I never did. He built an artillery field unit. LEFH, whatever that means. He did build this, so that's artillerying me, as well as his light artillery barrage, and his Panzerwerfer is dead. Finally, I killed the thing. He did have a Panzerwerfer. I remember killing it, but I didn't notice it as I'm watching this replay. I killed it at some point. Not sure where I killed it, but I did kill it with, actually I think it was right here. Yep, there it is. That's the carcass of the Panther. I killed it with my T-34. So I managed to kill the Panther. It's no longer firing at my base. My base is in shambles. I lost one building, tier 2, which builds the MGs and mortars. But I still have my HQ, and I still have tier 3, which builds the light tanks, T-34 and T-70. So now all the action is still over, or not still over, but is kind of over. I still haven't moved my MG. Actually, I had time to move my MG now, but I chose against it because I figured my opponent would come here first. Stupid decision by me, but it didn't end up hurting me this game, so that was lucky. But it was a stupid decision by me to leave my MG over at this point rather than bringing it down here to the VP. Because I need VPs to win this game. My opponent has 39 VPs left. I just need VPs to win this game. Sending a conscript squad over here to capture the left VP. Hopefully they will do it uncontested. And looking at the minimap, we can see that they will do it uncontested, so that will be good. Have 2 VPs once again. Not the middle one, but at least I'll have 2. And now here you can see I have built a second T-34 because I already lost one, and all that fighting sitting right there, I think. I don't know. But I lost a lot in that fight, and my opponent lost almost nothing. He still has 2 Panthers, he has Pioneers, 3 Panthers. AT grenade! AT grenade! AT grenade! AT grenade! AT grenade! Why am I not AT grenading? I apparently chose not to AT grenade. Really? Did I really choose not to AT grenade? Okay. Well, I guess I really just wanted the middle VP. But I figured the Panther wasn't going to do much damage to me, but I did end up AT grenading it actually. So I did AT grenade it. Good. I agreed with myself, but I really wanted the middle VP. I know that for sure. Because obviously I wanted to just take down my opponent's VPs. He has 38 left, 37 now. I want to just win this because he has way more units than I do. But I can win this through map control. That's what I need, map control. It's the thing my opponent has failed on this entire game. I can win with map control. So I have the middle VP. I have the right VP. My opponent did push me off of the left VP. I believe I lost the whole entire squad. You can even see them right there, just laying on top of each other. So I did lose the whole entire conscript squad that I sent over here. I don't know if I ever captured this point or not, but I do have 2 VPs, 2 of the 3. This squad is not going to make it. Needs to retreat or get around some cover or something. But they're not going to make it the way they're doing right now. However, I just really like the VP as well. I'm hoping he doesn't come for me. Oh, he does come for me. So this squad is so screwed. I'm trying to decap the VP, at least get the decap, if not the capture. And he's standing in it, so let's just retreat or just die because I'm too busy microwing over here in the middle, placing incendiary barrages to protect the point so my opponent does not take it from me, capturing it with conscript squads. As you can see at the top right, I have very few units. I have 2 conscript squads, 1 MG, which is still over here, not protecting the right victory point, and 1 tank that is heavily damaged and totally useless against Panthers, especially when there's 3 of them. My opponent has 3 Panthers. So my opponent is locking down his middle VP very well, but he doesn't have it. He's locking it down he's preventing me from advancing and protecting it, but he doesn't have it himself, so he's losing VPs. Incendiary barrage incoming on the MG squad so that he doesn't have the ability to capture this, I'm hoping, but unluckily he does still have the ability to capture it. And this is going to turn out terrible. Hoorah! In front of the MG, try to capture the point, kill the MG, but they get suppressed because they were in the MG's arc of fire. And they're pinned, which means they don't do anything to the point. Time to retreat. This is not going well for me in the middle VP. My opponent is also protecting the left VP very heavily, 2 Grenadier squads as well as an MG. So my only hope is getting the middle VP really because he doesn't have as much there, and Panthers are not good against infantry, and really the only thing I can build right now is infantry. It would make no sense for me to build another T-34. It would make no sense. The second one that I did build here that I had for a very short period of time died right here, and that was because I accidentally had the waypoint for the building all the way out here, and so the Panther saw it and killed it when I wasn't looking, so he did manage to take out that T-34, so I was just like, screw it, I'm not building another T-34, it's going to be totally useless against 3 Panthers. There goes tier 3 anyways, so I can't build another Panther, or can't build another T-34, anytime soon. I'd have to rebuild the building. Here's the HQ, one hit away from death on the artillery. His artillery landing all around it. This is not good for me at all. As you can see, I've queued up conscript squads, and the reason for this is I just want a whole bunch of conscript squads to be in the middle here, and then I will charge forward and try to take it through brute force. Take the middle VP. Before I do that, though, I am sending this Vet 3 conscript squad over to the left in hopes that it will win against whatever units he has defending over here. And we will see how that goes. In fact, we will follow the squad by pressing the apostrophe key, which is how you follow squads, in case you didn't know. So, we have engagements. I'm in red cover. This is terrible. I am Vet 3, which is as good as it can be. What do they get at Vet 3? Increases durability, plus Vet 2, which is they're far more accurate and have improved durability. So these guys are really strong and really accurate. But against 2 LMG 42 Grenadier squads, one that is Vet 3, the Vet 1 doesn't matter, but the Vet 3 does matter. They're not going to win. They're losing this fight, as you can see. But I decided to stay and fight just to do some damage. But I did decide to retreat before I lost too much because I want to save my manpower as much as I possibly can. Now here we can say I have another fresh conscript squad from the HQ. And this time I'm bringing over a T-34 because I really want the left VP. And what I was hoping to do with the T-34 was to make him think, oh, I can just send my 3 Panthers all the way over here to the left and go attack the T-34, make sure it dies, all that kind of stuff, and protect the left VP. Instead, he doesn't do that. He keeps his Panthers over here, and it doesn't work well for me, as you can see. I'm not capturing this point at all. He has 11 victory points left. I really want one of the 2 VPs. I finally moved my MG over here on the right to this victory point, and it's facing over here where my opponent is most likely to come from. So it's protecting the right VP, and this is good, because as you can see, he's actually bringing a unit over here to the right VP. My MG will easily take care of that unit, so no worries there. On the left side, I still have my T-34, but it is so screwed. The Panther over here, which has engine damage because of my conscript squad, it has taken down my T-34 a lot, but then a Panzerfaust kills it in the end, I believe. No, something else killed it. These guys do not have a vehicle kill. What killed it? Maybe the Panther killed it, because Panther does have quite a bit of range. The Panther may have killed it. Who knows? One vehicle destroyed. I don't know if it was that vehicle or not. Who knows? But, yeah, my T-34 is dead. No more vehicles. I only have conscript squads now. And I have 3 conscript squads, an MG, and 2 engineer squads. And I do have one over here repairing the HQ. Remember, it was that sliver of health? One artillery hit would have done it in. My opponent, this whole time between when I said it was at a sliver of health and now, he has been shelling this area. He's been shelling it the whole time. And he's kept missing my HQ. It was so lucky that he kept missing my HQ. Like, insanely lucky. But luckily he did miss it, and I was able to repair it at least to, what is that, a third, maybe? So, I'm able to repair it. It can withstand more artillery hits now, more than just the one, and it would have lost. Because in Company of Heroes 2, you don't have to kill the base MGs in order to win, like you did in Company of Heroes 1. So you cannot rely on just building a base MG, and you cannot rely on keeping your base MGs alive and winning that way. You cannot rely on building a base MG over here in the corner of the map where nobody will find it, over here in this little corner or something, and surviving that way. You cannot do that. You have to keep your HQ alive, you have to keep your other buildings alive. So, here we can see I have amassed conscripts just like I planned to, and I'm doing an oorah rush into the middle. And at the same time, my opponent's sending 2 Panthers into my base, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose this game, aren't I? It's gonna kill the HQ before I can cap the middle VP and win through sheer force. This is not going to end well for me, is it? So, he's shelling the HQ, repair engineers are down, middle VP is being taken by force, killing the MG. There we go, capturing the point. Just got to take down 11 VPs. It's not that much to take down. My HQ is severely weakened. It is dead, in fact. And I've lost the game. and I halfway decapped this victory point over here in the middle. If the game, or if my HQ had lasted 15 seconds longer, I would have won. If it had lasted 15 seconds longer, I would have won. And I very well could have won because I had another engineer squad over here that I accidentally sent with my conscripts instead of telling him to repair the HQ with the other engineer squad. I could have had 2 engineer squads on my HQ rather than just one repairing it, and it would have lasted an extra 15 seconds that I needed in order to take down the 11 victory points with 2 VPs. That was close. That was a very close ending. It was VPs versus base rush. It was a very close ending. It was not VP versus VP like it normally is with close endings. So, yeah. Very intense game. I gotta say, my opponent won that match and he earned it. He outplayed me in every battle. He won every battle pretty much. He out-microed me. He out-multitasked me. I wasn't able to handle the multitasking that he required of me. And he won every battle, but throughout the whole game, the reason I was able to get him down to 11 VPs is because he failed to take map control. That was his one issue. It's just that he failed to take map control. So that's what made me able to take him down to 11 VPs, but sadly, that one battle towards the end of the match, where I just lost pretty much my whole entire force, that's what cost me, because he was able to push up, and then he quickly took the VPs, and he had a VP. He had 2 VPs, and I was able to only take him down to 11, sadly. Over here on the right side, you might think, hey, that's getting threatened, so you may have had the middle VP captured, but over on the right, you wouldn't have been able to hold it. That's not true. This MG is facing the proper direction, and I have a Vet 3 conscript squad over here. I would have been able to easily hold back his 2 grenadier squads for another 15 seconds. I mean, that would not be much of an issue, especially because both my MG and my conscript squad are standing in the VP. Even if I had to keep them here till they died, I would at least hold the VP for 15 more seconds and dwindle down my opponent's VPs. But it didn't happen. I was actually preparing to throw an AT grenade on this Panther right when the game ended. Just a little fun fact for you. I had my mouse button right over the AT grenade button, but I didn't get a chance to throw it because the game ended. That would have been a nice kill right there, killing the Panther. Anyways, very close ending. Sucks that I lost, but he definitely earned it, except for his one mistake of not capturing the map earlier. That was his one issue. He just didn't go for map control. He only went for winning battles. But it did give him the win, because manpower wins wars. Not fuel and not munitions, which is what I was getting with map control. So, anyways guys, hope you all enjoyed this video. I think that was a really close ending. I'm sure you guys agree. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys. Shock Troops is one of the doctrinal units. It is something you can get in the anti-infantry tactics. I believe there's 1 or 2 other doctrines that give it to you, but this is the only one that I have equipped, and it's also a premium doctrine. So